Man is like a breath. His days are like a fleeting shadow. Psalm 144, verse 4. There is a sacred melancholy in realizing that we are temporary. Not just knowing it intellectually, but feeling it in your body, in your bones, in your soul. There's a moment when truth finds us. Maybe at the funeral of someone we loved. Maybe in the silence of a late night, staring at the ceiling with a shattered heart. Maybe after losing something we thought would last forever. That moment changes everything. It's as if life, once loud and urgent, suddenly kneels beside you and whispers, "You won't be here forever. But while you are, love with everything you have." We are dust. We are flesh. We are desire. But we are also memory, breath, and soul. The Bible, always so direct, reminds us, "For you are dust, and to dust you shall return." Genesis 3:19. This is not a sentence of punishment. It is an invitation, a calling to stop chasing what dies. The culture we live in teaches us to run after what sparkles, what impresses, what others envy. But the soul does not feed on those things. It doesn't thrive on likes. It's not nourished by status. It doesn't bloom in fame. The soul longs for depth. It longs for meaning. It longs for love, not the romanticized love from screens, but the kind that disarms us, heals us, saves us. Becoming aware of death is like being born again. It forces us to ask, who have I been living for? What am I trying to prove? Whose approval am I chasing? How much of my life is actually mine? Many of us spend decades trying to become what others expect of us. The perfect child, the tireless professional, the flawless partner. And in this invisible theater, we lose ourselves. We betray ourselves. Freud spoke of the unconscious as a place where we bury what we cannot process. Lacan said that human beings are structured around lack. That lack, that ache in our chest we can't quite name, is often the result of a life lived for others, disconnected from what truly matters. And then life comes to collect. When the marriage ends, when the job disappears, when someone dies, the emptiness arrives, vast, deafening, but not to punish us, to wake us up. When we leave this world, we won't take the car we bought, the degrees on the wall, the trophies in the cabinet, the flawless appearance, the perfect stories on social media. All of that disintegrates. But what remains? The way we touched people. The words that set others free. The silences that held space. The hugs that carried someone through. The love we gave. That survives. Maybe one day someone will say, "She taught me how to love. He helped me keep going. With her, I discovered my worth." And that is eternity. That is the only inheritance time cannot erode. We live in a rush. We live trying to outrun time. But time is not our enemy. It is our teacher. It teaches us that all things are impermanent, that the good days pass, but so do the bad ones. Time is like an invisible sculptor. It shapes our rough edges, refines what is essential, erases what is vanity, and it asks us silently, are you truly present in the now, or just surviving what comes next? Some moments become eternal, not because they last long, but because they were lived with presence. A glance between mother and child, a sunset watched in silence, a conversation that heals, a touch that brings someone back, an I love you spoken without fear. Time is not just chronological. There are moments that are worth years, and there are entire years that leave no trace. Don't confuse weight with worth. Many people live heavy lives, filled with obligations, pressure, goals, and masks. But what gives life its true value is lightness. Not a shallow kind of lightness, but the lightness that comes from truth. The lightness of living as you are without needing to prove anything. Of loving without control, of caring without suffocating, of leaving when necessary, and still loving even from afar. Have you ever thought that a single word from you could stop someone from giving up? Sometimes a simple, I'm here with you, changes everything, because what saves the human soul has never been the perfect argument, but empathy, presence, the kind of love that says, you are allowed to be who you are, and you are still loved. Love never fails. 1 Corinthians 13:8. Losing someone, physically or emotionally, feels like a fracture in time. It's as if the world's clock keeps ticking, but inside us, everything stands still. It's waking up with your body in the present, while your heart is trapped in the past. It's searching for a voice in places ruled by silence. It's trying to find meaning in the absence, like looking for a map in the middle of the sea. Grief cannot be cured. It must be moved through. And in moving through it, something in us is reborn, more serene, more humble, more human. Not all grief is for someone who died. There is grief for friendships that drifted away, for relationships that ended, for versions of ourselves that won't return, for homes we left behind, for dreams we had to bury. These invisible deaths are silent, but no less real. The soul knows. It weeps quietly when no one is watching. And even in these losses, there is still love. Love that still beats, even without form. Love doesn't always get to stay in the same shape. Sometimes love means letting go. It's realizing that holding on can strangle what you cherish. It's understanding that some paths only appear when there is distance. That's not giving up. It's maturity. It's respect. Jesus washed the disciples' feet at the Last Supper, knowing he would be betrayed, abandoned, and denied. And still, he loved to the end. And then, he let go. True love does not cling. It offers freedom. It says, if you stay, let it be by choice, not fear. If you remain, let it be with ease, not guilt. If we begin again, let it be in truth, not obligation. Those who leave often carry guilt. Guilt for walking away, for not being able to stay, for seeming to choose peace over connection. But what about those who stay? They stay with the longing, with the emptiness, with questions that may never be answered. Both suffer, each on their own side of the silence. And still, they loved each other. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful forms of love. To forgive is not to forget. It is to free ourselves from the weight. It is to decide that pain will not have the final word. Sometimes we need to forgive those who left for not being who we wanted them to be, for leaving too soon, for failing us. Other times, we need to forgive ourselves for not having loved more, for judging too quickly, for letting things slip away. Forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it transforms the way the past lives inside us. There are pains that feel unbearable, but somewhere along the path, we realize they changed us. Pain, when walked through with awareness and love, refines us. It makes us more compassionate, more attentive, more patient, more whole. Maybe no one will remember your resume, but they will remember the day you listened without interrupting, the moment you cried with them, the hug that came at the right time, the note that seemed silly but healed something invisible. Love lives in the details, in the things no algorithm can measure, in the things no market can buy. There are people who are gone, and yet they remain with us, not as ghosts, but as eternal seeds planted within. We remember their words, their scent, their rituals, their laughter, their whispered advice, and suddenly we realize they live in us. Even relationships that ended, even bonds that were broken, even loves that didn't survive time. If there was truth, care, and surrender, none of it was in vain. Because love, once lived, shapes the soul. It transforms us forever. Memory, when bathed in love, becomes an altar, not to worship the past, but to remind us of who we are. Every act of love we offer to the world is a candle lit against the darkness. Death is not the end. It's just a bend in the road where the soul changes clothes. Unknown author. For centuries, we have treated death as an enemy, a dark presence that comes to steal what we love most. But what if death is just a messenger, a breath of the divine sent to remind us? Everything that is born one day says goodbye, and everything that is true remains, even if invisible. Death forces us to stop, to reflect, to feel. It interrupts the rush of life to whisper, remember what really matters. Faith, in its many forms, brings comfort. Believing that there's a place where love is renewed, where reunions are possible, is like a balm on a grieving heart. But even when certainty is absent, sensations remain. An unexpected chill, a presence felt in an empty room, a vivid dream that feels more real than waking life, a song that plays at the exact right moment. It's as if those we loved who have gone find subtle ways to say, I'm still here, just on a different frequency. The body is a temporary home. The soul, that immortal spark, is what endures. When someone departs, the body grows silent, but the soul echoes in gestures, in lessons, in the traces left behind in those who remain. This is why death may silence a voice, but it never silences the essence. We are here to learn how to love, not with possession, conditions, or immaturity, but with surrender, with presence, with respect for the other's time and space. Every relationship is a school, every pain a teacher, every goodbye an invitation to look within. In the end, every test in life is really a test of love. We don't know where the road ends, but we do know what we want to carry with us to the end. The hands we held with care, the conversations that lasted through the night, the I love yous we had the courage to say, the scars that became healing. That is eternity. Eternity isn't a place in the sky, it's everything time can't erase. The love that remains is the kind that doesn't need a body to exist. It lives in the soul, like an ember that never goes out. Sometimes that love blooms in silence, in the quiet knowing that even from afar, the bond continues, that even separated, something still pulses between two hearts that once truly saw each other. It's possible to love without touching. It's possible to stay connected, even when the road leads to opposite directions. There comes a moment when we must let go. Let go of hands, let go of attachment, let go of the desire for everything to stay the same. Not because love ended, but because it evolved. It understood that some goodbyes are prayers, that some endings are really disguised beginnings, that some distances actually strengthen what is real. To let go is sometimes the greatest act of faith in the eternity of love. Maybe we'll never step into that house again. Maybe we'll never see that smile again. Maybe time will take away everything that was tangible. But home, true home, is a feeling. It's the hug that still warms us from within. It's the phrase we repeat in our minds when we feel lost. It's the name we whisper in the dark, just to remember we're not alone. True home is the love that remains. You are leaving traces. Even without realizing, you are touching lives. With your listening, with your compassion, with the way you love. One day someone will say, "She taught me how to believe. He showed me what it means to be strong. His presence changed the course of my life." And in that moment, you will have defeated time. Love is as strong as death, its passion unyielding as the grave. Its flames are flames of fire, a divine flame. Song of Songs 8:6. When gestures run dry, when even tears become exhaustion, what remains is silence. But this silence is not empty, it is sacred ground. It is in silence that we feel the presence of those we love most clearly. It is there that we hear the soul whisper, "I am here. I never left. I just changed form." Often, we love expecting something in return, a response, recognition, presence. But there comes a moment when love evolves. It matures enough to say, "I love you even if you're no longer here. I forgive you even if you never ask for it. I am at peace even if you never come back." This love is not fragile. It is love that has already been a cross and is now resurrection. When someone leaves, many things die with them. The touch, the routine, the daily laughter. But something is also born. A new kind of relationship begins. Silent, symbolic, spiritual. We start talking to them in our thoughts, We feel their presence in critical moments. We seek their opinion when facing big decisions. It's as if they are now on another plane, closer to our spirit than they ever were in body. In the beginning, grief is an open wound, but over time, and with love, it becomes an altar. And then we begin to live differently. We act with more patience because we remember how gentle they were. We're more grateful because their absence taught us appreciation. We choose more wisely because we feel their voice guiding us. This is legacy. When we become better because of someone we loved, even after they're gone, that love has become eternal. There is no map for dealing with loss, no manual to heal the emptiness. Every soul finds its way. Some take refuge in faith, others in work, others in tears, which are also prayers. The important thing is not to rush. The soul has its own timing, and true love knows how to wait. There comes a moment when pain gives way to compassion, and we finally understand we are all just passing through. Then we begin to care more deeply for each other, to say "I love you" more often, to demand less and appreciate more. We begin to live like those who know time is short, but love is infinite. That is the miracle. That is the cycle. Pain becomes love. Grief becomes light. It is not disrespectful to smile again. It is not betrayal to feel joy. On the contrary, to begin again is the purest way to give thanks for a life once shared. It's as if we were saying to the one who's gone, "I carry you with me in everything I do. Your presence lives in my choices. Your absence taught me how to live more truthfully." To begin again is not to forget, it is to transform. To love is to know when to let go, to know when to stay, to accept impermanence with tenderness, and in the end, to understand some presences become eternal through their absence. Some words become prayers when they echo in memory. Some departures are not endings, they are returns to essence. Yes, some names will still be whispered before sleep. Some smiles will still come with tears. Some hugs will keep living in dreams. But what a privilege it was to love! What a blessing it was to feel so deeply! What a miracle it is to remember with tenderness, not with guilt, because everything that was love will always be love. And in the end, love is the only thing that remains. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. What remains are the gestures, the soft imprints left on the soul, the lessons, the way of smiling, the way of loving, and the certainty remains. No one who was truly loved is ever lost to eternity. They live in us, in the choices we make, in the silences we respect, in the care with which we move forward. The love that remains is a temple, a seed, a cure. eternity disguised as memory. And so we carry on. With longing, yes, with pain sometimes, but with love always. There comes a moment, beyond the pain, beyond the questions, beyond the heavy silence of one who no longer walks beside us, when love transforms into something else. It's no longer the hand we used to hold, nor the voice we could call in the middle of the night. It becomes a warmth without origin, a whisper without sound, a presence without form. And yet, you feel, somehow, inexplicably, you are being held. Grief is not weakness. It is not a lack of faith or absence of strength. Grief is a sacred trial, a divine echo of all the love we didn't get to express in time. It's a conversation that continues, even when there is no longer a body to hold, but everything still pulses inside. We cry because we loved deeply, because we were transformed, because part of us stayed with them, and part of them stayed with us. The goal is not to erase the pain. The goal is to learn how to live with it, like we live with the rain, as something natural and necessary. In time, you will no longer cry because the person is gone. You'll cry because you remember something beautiful they gave you. And then you will smile. You'll understand that healing doesn't mean the absence of sadness. It means the presence of peace. There is something about death that sharpens life. It rearranges everything. Suddenly, you stop wasting time on small arguments. You no longer postpone the "I love you." You look at people differently. You hold them a little longer. Loss teaches presence. It teaches urgency. It teaches reverence. It teaches that every moment matters, because you never know which one will be the last. When someone we love becomes memory, we become their voice. We are the living continuation of their values, their gestures, their tenderness, their courage. In the way you comfort someone, they live. In the kindness you offer, they echo. In the forgiveness you give, they breathe again. You carry them in the way you live. You are the altar now. You are the living prayer. But if we saw death not as an ending, but as a transmutation, a shift, a return, not a goodbye, but a gentle whisper, "I'll meet you when it's time." The truth is, nothing that was loved is ever truly lost. Not when the love was real, not when the soul was touched, not when the connection came from something beyond this world. Because that kind of love is not made of skin and time. It's made of eternity. The hand lets go. The voice goes silent. The memories lose their sharp edges. But some things never leave you. The way they made you feel safe, the lesson they taught without words, the love they gave, not perfect, but true. And that stays. It becomes your spine, your compass, your fire. It becomes the reason you keep going, even when everything feels hollow. Because they are not in the past. They're in your now. In your tears, in your laughter, in your silence. Not something to hold on to, but something to become. Not something that ends, but something that deepens, expands, quiets, until it becomes the very air you breathe. Until you finally realize they didn't leave us, they became part of us. And in that moment, you are not broken, you are whole. Because the love that remains never meant to leave. It simply changed form. It simply became everything. If you're grieving someone you love, I want you to know your pain is not weakness, it's sacred. Your memories are not chains, they're bridges. You are not alone, there is still connection. You are not empty, you are full of what remains. And the love that once was words, now lives in your breath. Close your eyes, feel it. They're still here. The love remains. And so do you. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel.